Hello and welcome to ESO Weekly for the 12th of... what is it? April now.
Yes.
I never know what day it is.
April is flying by.
I know that by now. Anyway, so today we're going to be covering some news articles. There's going to be more information on beta. They also introduced the Ogrim, which I believe is from Morrowind.
Ogrim.
They're a type of Daedra. They also have a new article, an Ask Us Anything Variety Pack 3 article. Well, they'll be talking about, let's see, PvP level scaling, dynamic quests, permanent character choices, endgame, and then the big, massive news, will Sweet Rolls be in the game?
Yeah, stay tuned. Oh man, look at all that information though. I miss the days when we had to, like, you know, blow content out our asses because we didn't have enough, and now every week we do this. We have an article to dissect. It's
Always
great.
got stuffs. So after that, we also have the question of the week from Ed Stark, a content designer. After that, we have questions from you guys in our community segment, as well as thanking our sponsors. And then we will finally wrap things up and give you a little bit more information of what we shall be doing in the future. Alright. So, first things first, the second round of beta invitations have gone out. So, for you lucky few out there that have been able to play the beta, good on you. Good on you, mate.
Well, just
good on you.
know that I hate you. I hate you. Kyle congratulates you.
Yeah, it's a very small group of people, so don't be all discouraged, as they have said.
I'd imagine the toughest part, because I fantasize often in my free time about getting a beta invitation, and I think the toughest part would be not being able to gloat about it because of the NDA.
Exactly.
You know? That's got to be the toughest.
Yeah, actually, Matthew Shine, the music composer that we've used in our videos before.
Oh yes.
He was like, tell us the truth. Okay, did you guys condense the show down to just Fridays because you got invited to beta?
Yeah, we're too busy. We're too busy in beta.
Like, oh yeah, I wish.
I wish. Yeah. No, we can say without a doubt, and we did not get into beta. No, not yet. And, you know, I'm kind of happy that I haven't gone to beta. And I've told you this before. You fall on the other side of the fence. You just want beta. You want it. And I'm actually happy I haven't got it because I feel weird calling myself this, a member of the press. That sounds so official, and we are far from official here. But, yeah, as a member of the press, like, we wouldn't be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we would be discussing these news articles and stuff like that, and I would be too busy thinking about, oh man, did I experience this in beta, and I shouldn't be saying this? Like, it'd be too tough, so I'm actually glad. I want to get my beta invite the day, you know, it's not a closed beta, the day it's open and I can talk about it freely because, oh man, it's going to be great.
I understand that, but also, like you said, I want to freaking play the game.
Yeah. Just want to play the dang thing.
Yep. Alright, so next up, they had announced the Ogrim, which is actually a character from Morrowind.
Ogrim or Ogrim? I've been hearing this big debate about whether it's Ogrim or Ogrim, but...
Well, I guess it could be Ogrim, like Ogrimmore.
You know, I've always laughed at people that said, oh, you pronounced this name wrong, that's totally made up and fake and not real at all, you know?
I pronounce it however I want, because it doesn't even exist.
Exactly. It doesn't exist. Who gives a crap? But Ogrim, sure. We'll call it Ogrim.
But anyways, they are a type of Daedra, and yeah, you'll be seeing them in ESO. They have a little small animation video with them. And they also describe how they, you know, came up with the creator, or, wow, came up with the character and how they designed it and stuff. I like that his belly is really animated. It's like the most animated part of his body is his little belly. Well, it's not even little, it's humongous.
I like my belly details.
It jiggles.
Especially in my big fat creatures.
I think he's a tad bit too cartoony. Hopefully they make him a little bit more gritty.
Yeah, because
he's a little too colorful, I think.
Like, this is a creature I could see... It's got more detail than in SWTOR, but I could see this in Star Wars The Old Republic, and I would definitely like to see him a bit more menacing and yeah, like you said, gritty. But how they would go about doing that? He is a big fella.
He's big. I mean, you can't really tell in just like the screenshots they have of him, but in the video, when you see him compared to an actual player, yeah, he's pretty big.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell him he's not gritty to his face. Let's just say that.
You're cartoony. All right. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the Ask Us Anything Variety Pack 3 that they had released. Them being ZeniMax.
mishmash of information, not really themed in any way. It kind of jumps around, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's the whole ask us anything part.
Yep.
So let's get into it. First question is from Yusuf Al-Katan. Will your level be scaled up when joining a PvP zone, or will you remain the same level and be part of a level bracket? For example, if I'm level 16 and enter a PvP zone, will I be scaled up to max level along with everyone else, or will I remain level 16 and play with people in the 10 to 19 bracket?
Zenimax came back and said, you will be scaled up to approximately level 50. You'll be able to remain competitive, but a true level 50 will have the advantage of having more skills and abilities than you, and naturally so, right?
Yeah, we've seen this in plenty of MMOs already, so nothing new here, and I agree with it. I mean, I never really liked the whole level bracket in WoW.
You know, it's
I wasn't a
funny.
fan of.
Yeah.
I kind of did, just with the whole tweaking. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called tweaking, and that was a
Tweaking,
whole. I think it's called tweaking. I want to say it's called tweaking. It sounds kind of dirty for some
I think it
reason.
is tweaking. Yeah.
But yeah, there was this whole kind of community of gamers in a game like World of Warcraft where they had level brackets. So say the bracket, I don't know, level 10 to level 19, I think that was a bracket. They would a character would level to level 19, stay at that level, and just pimp out his character with all this awesome armor and stuff, so he would just dominate that bracket.
Yep.
You know, so kind of like a king amongst beggars. It's just...
And I have done it before.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, but I don't know. Being limited to the amount of skills that you have at that level kind of sucked. Obviously, even now in this format, where you will be level to level 50, you're still going to retain the skills you've had. You won't be given more skills, but they will obviously be buffed up to level 50, as well as your health, stamina, magicka. But I don't know. I like this format, and I'm glad that they're doing it this way.
Yeah, it works, and I have nothing against it, so I don't know. It's fine.
You can still play with the big boys, but not at their same level really, because they have so many more skills that have been leveled up and stuff.
Yeah.
Next question: how much emphasis do you put into designing quests that pop up dynamically, or require you to decipher their hints rather than being tied to any specific NPC quest giver? Will we be able to initiate quests through a variety of natural triggers, like entering an area or killing a given mob? Or will most quests be centralized to NPCs handing them out? And that was by Ronnie Solbakken.
Zenimax came back and said, this is a good question. Our quests are designed with purpose in mind, or context, if you prefer. Okay? We feel very strongly as a team that quests need to make sense, and quest granting should be done in a way that is grounded in the world. While we do have various methods for granting quests, most are given by various NPCs. There are still many that are done in other ways, such as finding books, notes, corpses, etc. It's also important to keep in mind that there are many activities that aren't quests. We feel it is just as important to explore, craft, and do various other activities.
Totally agree. It's more than just running from quest to quest and getting your XP and gold from it, especially in a Elder Scrolls setting.
Sure, the majority of quests we receive in games, like our past test games, have been given out by NPCs, and they say still many will be done in other ways by finding books and notes and corpses. But I don't know, if I was a dev, because what I want this game to be, I want this game to be a game where I don't have to go to the towns and talk to NPCs if I don't want to. I want to be able to run out and just start running into a dungeon and coming across a neat little quest. And it doesn't even have to be quests. I'm talking about little miscellaneous things.
I think that's actually what they're talking about here, though, because when you think about, say, Skyrim, when you are exploring caves and stuff like that, you're not actually doing quests per se. There may be activities to do, like an event might happen, but that's not really a quest.
Sure.
Quests usually are from actual NPCs that you talk to and whatever. But then every once in a while you will come across like a Meridian Beacon or something like that that will actually activate a quest.
Sure.
So this is pretty much how it is in Skyrim and other test games.
I just hope it's cram-packed with that stuff, because I'm tired of the MMOs where like you have this massive world and you have all this exploration, and it's something they love to advertise is all this exploration, but it's not filled, it's not.
Just
It's
emptiness.
emptiness is what it is. It's cardboard. It's counterfeit. I want there to be a massive amount of sustenance, yes, in my Elder Scrolls Online. And so
I agree.
Hope we get it. I hope we get it.
Next question from Douglas Ownby. With such an expanse of playable area, will the player be able to fast travel from anywhere so long as certain conditions are met, i.e. not in the middle of battle?
Cinemax came back and said, as long as you have visited a way shrine, you will be able to travel to it. Travel between way shrines is free. Traveling to a way shrine from anywhere will cost you gold, and there are limits to how often you can do this.
The fact that if we're at a way shrine, it won't cost us anything to go from way shrine to way shrine. But if you are like in the middle of the freaking world and you're too lazy to walk somewhere, then it's going to cost you money. On top of that, there's probably going to be some kind of like time limit. Like an hour or half an hour. You can only do it every half hour or something like that. So I think that's awesome.
Sure. Yeah, what I'm picturing, because they're saying fast traveling to a way shrine from anywhere will cost you gold, and there are limits to how often you can use it. So I'm imagining a sort of, a cooldown, and also, in the question he asked, and they didn't really address it, is that, will I be able to do it in the middle of combat, basically? And I wouldn't imagine you would. That would suck. That would be a game-breaking type thing, you're charging a guy in PvP, and boom, he vanishes.
Like the Paladin? Shield?
Yes, that was infamous. So in World of Warcraft, they had the whole Hearthstone, and that's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining a casting time that can be easily interrupted, and like a long casting time, like a 30-second long thing that can be interrupted, and that's a very easy way to remedy that whole thing to where people couldn't just disappear out of the thin air like that.
Stupid bubble hearths.
But sure, be whatever line that you fall on with the whole fast traveling, whether you want to use it or don't want to use it. Hey, if you don't want to use it, just ignore the way shrine feature altogether. And I think a lot of people will be happy to see the whole way shrine thing come to fruition in this game.
Sure thing. All right, here's the big question: will I be able to make/eat sweet rolls? I must know.
He must know.
By Luke Clarkson.
Cinemax came back and said yes. And fishy sticks, of course. Now, do you know this whole fishy sticks thing?
I do not.
I didn't either. I had to look it up, and they talked about it on the Wikipedia, and what fishy sticks is...
Does it have to do with Doctor Who?
No, it's this big inside thing on the forums. Like, ever since
really?
2001, there was this moderator in fishy sticks. It's this whole long explanation, but it's a little Easter egg thing. They've also placed it in Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. All has Easter eggs relating to the fishy sticks. I don't know if you remember this, but you did the Lord Sheogorath quest in Skyrim, right? That was in the Blue Palace, and you went to his realm for a little bit. And
which game is this? Skyrim?
Skyrim, yeah.
I don't recall.
Yeah, and anyway, one of the lines he said is something like, I'm trying to do the fish stick. It's a delicate state of mind. And I always thought, that's kind of, Sheogorath says all sorts of crazy things, but that was kind of weird. Anyway, that's one of the Easter eggs there. The fishy stick.
Next question from Dennis Mole. I read that you can loot items from houses, crates, barrels, etc. How fast will these items respawn? If someone looted the area some minutes ago, will I find only empty boxes?
Cinemax came back and said, it is possible that you'd find empty containers, but we hope the rate at which these things reappear will be frequent enough for you to find items in many cases.
I'm hoping that if someone else loots, like, crates and barrels and stuff, that doesn't affect your rummaging.
Yeah, I imagined Zenimax, who are crazy with the phasing and stuff, would make the whole looting system of crates phased. So a guy loots a chest, takes a broadsword out of it, you go to loot the chest, there's something totally different in your chest.
I'd also like it to be random. Like, if you go to that same crate day after day, it should be something different.
Oh yeah, sure. I would like to see...
Or nothing is there.
And that would be very easy to do, and I imagine that's what they will do with that. Otherwise, we would have people farming, like, the same crate, because they know a certain ingredient is always going to show up in that crate. which some people might like to hear, but
me, because I like doing those guides.
But I would rather, if I'm going to steal ingredients or loot ingredients, then I'm either going to rob a shop like that has alchemy supplies or something like that, than do that. But do I mine this? I don't know. I've always thought respawn timers are weird, but it's kind of like it's a
necessity.
It's a necessity.
In an MMO, yeah.
Exactly. It's what happens. And there's respawn timers in all the test games we've played. You loot a chest, you come back to it weeks later, and there's new stuff in there. So I couldn't imagine this is anything anybody would get upset about. And it wasn't a piece of news. I don't know. I didn't mind it. It's fine.
All right. You mentioned that there will be permanent character choices that affect the phase of an area. For example, saving a village or not saving a village. Let's say I did save the village and my friend did not. We are not in the same phase. How will we be able to play together in that specific zone? And that was by Pavel Vivek.
In some areas, phasing, or layering, as we like to call it, is not based on a choice, but on whether or not you've done a certain thing yet. In this case, separation from another player would be temporary. In other areas, it can be based off of a choice you've made. Those choices tend to come at the end of the activity for an area, reducing separation. There are other mechanisms we use to reinforce choice that have nothing to do with layering. You may experience something completely different than anyone else based on your individual choices, but the ways we show this don't separate you from others at all. The later techniques are used far more frequently than layering, and finally, there are still other solutions we'll discuss later that enable you to better stay together with others, even if you'd normally be in different layers. Oh my gosh, my brain is hurting right now. Also note that layering and channels are not the same thing.
Oh my God.
The mega servers place players intelligently into channels to make sure your gameplay experience is good to prevent overcrowding.
Man, so they're talking about phasing, layering, and channels.
This is like Inception, man. I can't
That's
keep
what
up.
I was thinking. I'm like, Jesus, I had an easier time figuring that movie out. So
by the way,
there's phasing, which is like completely not being able to see other things from other people. Then there's layering, which I still don't even understand that they just talked about right now.
Like, I knew those two, and then channels. I haven't heard channels.
Channels are kind of
mentioned
obvious.
yet.
That's almost like being in a separate server altogether.
Yeah.
Wow. Am I ever going to see people? I mean, there's so many different things separating you.
We've said it before, dude. I have no idea how this is all going to come together. It's so much.
I don't know how they coded this crap, but
Oh, it's got to be a nightmare.
if they have this working properly, then kudos, because I don't know how the hell they do it. This is... If they do it correctly and it does work and everything, it'll be awesome. But, wow. They should be like writers.
I have nothing else to say about it. I'm just,
Let's just move on because my head hurts.
We'll wait and see what comes of it, basically, is what I'm saying.
Alright. Since space on the hotbar will be limited, how will you implement using non-combat spells such as water breathing, water walking, mage light, open lock, and persuasion? What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? By Paul Balhorn.
ZeniMax came back and said, all spells will be cast through the hotbar or quick slot. European or African?
So that's a pretty straight up answer. Pretty much anything you use is going to take up a slot on your quick slot. So choose wisely.
Now, I always had to think about this because they said all spells will be cast through the hotbar or quick slot. I always thought hotbar and quick slots were the same thing.
They are the same thing. It's a simile.
Do they mean, when they're referring to the hotbar, are they talking about the hotbar of your abilities, and then the quick slot is where you have your potions quick slotted into? After
I guess you
thinking
can
about
say
it for
that.
a while, that's what I think they...
But it's all one bar. Okay, you got the hot bar, and then each of those slots is called a quick slot. How about that?
Okay.
So the quick
Sure.
slot is a segment of the hot bar. We'll just go with that.
Sure. Okay. Sounds
That's our
good.
terminology. All right. This one is from Emmanuel Eriksson. Besides other class skills, can all skills be acquired in ESO? will getting the Mages Guild skill line still allow you to get the Fighters Guild skill line?
Cinemax came back and said, in general, you will be able to get most of the skill lines. As you mentioned, class and racial skills are exclusive to your choices. However, there are some mutually exclusive skill lines. For instance, you cannot be a werewolf and a vampire at the same time. Oh man,
Oh
so
no, I can't be a
werevamp.
hybrid from Underworld.
No wolf vamp or werevamp or werepire.
Werepire, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll say. Werepire.
Vamp Wolf. Alright, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some are mutually exclusive skill lines, and obviously if you choose a class, you'll be the only one that can use those 3 skill lines. Other classes can't. And of course, whatever race you pick will also have its own dedicated skill line.
Yeah. Some people get pissed when they hear this sort of thing, okay? And there are some people still reserved about the class system because they'll be locked out. They won't be able to use skill lines. A person who chose a specific class will be able to. And what I would say to that is that with freedom, with freedom comes choice. You know, you don't have one without the other. Without one or the other, it's all meaningless. So, I'm an adult. I can make choices, and I can say, okay, I'm going to be a vampire instead of that whole sentence sounded kind of weird. I'm an adult. I'll choose to be a vampire if I want to. Meh. No, but you know, you have to make choices. There's no meaning to progression in a video game if you don't have choices. And I don't know. I think it's funny that some people will shy away from that.
I like a little exclusivity, though. So, like, I like to know that I have some skills available to myself that someone else might not have. So I can use that against them in PvP or something like that.
Sure. I mean, we all talk about how we want to be defined and different in MMOs, and I see the skill lines as being something to help us define our character, you know. Sure, this guy might be a Templar, but unlike the other guy, he's a Templar that's also a vampire instead of a Templar that also has the werewolf skill line. And also, on top of that, he chose a specific race that has this. So I'm seeing so many combinations just with the skill lines alone that there's going to be so many different types of characters.
So, God, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these other MMOs have, like, Wowhead and all these other build sites. How the hell are you going to make a build site for this game?
I know. It's going to be a nightmare, just a technological
I hope no one even
nightmare.
tries, because it's going to be ridiculous to even... I don't know. It's, yeah.
I hope nobody tries just because I hate having to use external resources.
It's Hamrail Foundry. I want to see... Come on, Andrew. I want to see you try to make a skill thing.
Challenge.
A skill or a builder.
The gauntlet's down. What are the stakes? Nothing. Nothing at all.
My kudos, if you do. Alright, last question is from Ernesto Usabayo. Oh, jeez. Most of the names were, like, pretty easy for me to say, except for that one. Alright, so I recently read that there are no raids in ESO. Is that true? Does the dev team have a plan to keep those hardcore PvE players interested in endgame content with something that will take the place of a raid?
That's a good question there, Ernesto. Zenimax came back and said, the problem here is the definition of the word raid, which means different things to different people. When we said we won't have quote-unquote raids, we meant that we won't have raids in the traditional sense of the word. We'll have our own way to get large groups together. There will absolutely be large group PvE activities in the game, but we're not ready to talk about what those systems are yet. We have mentioned adventure zones in the past, but we won't go into details until those systems are finalized.
They actually have gone a little bit into detail about what they're talking about. So there are going to be some areas of these adventure zones, which are usually like level 50 areas. Not necessarily level 50 zones, but anyways, there's going to be some areas in these adventure zones that may even be instanced. They haven't said if they will be or not, but they say that it's a possibility that they will be instanced. Mainly to just keep from like very small groups or even solo players out there from wandering into these zones and just getting massacred, because they are going to be for large groups of players. So there's still going to be like raiding activities in the sense that there will be large group activities, but they're not going to have raids as in like WoW terms of like 25 man, you know, or what are the other ones? 10 man? That was a raid too, right? So
Sure.
yeah, they won't have like 10 man and 25 man instanced raids in that sense. So,
yeah, and they went out of their way. I'm glad that they went out of their way to define it, because it's very true. Raid means different things to different people. World of Warcraft, like the traditional sense of the word raid, I would say comes from games like World of Warcraft, where you have an instance, and what I've always pictured is, a specific number of people killing trash mobs and stuff like that to get to the end boss, or killing bosses along the way as they're fighting through trash and stuff. And that's what they're saying basically is not in the game. And because what people want, what those PvEers want, is to collaborate as a group of players to achieve a specific goal of like defeating a boss and defeating that boss's mechanics and stuff like that. And I think most definitely you're going to see that in whether it's in the form of an adventure zone or some other system they're going to have in place. So if you were worried about not having raids in that sense of the word, don't worry.
Yep.
They are definitely going to be there.
And also, remember that there's still going to be public dungeons as well, and that holds like technically infinite amount of players can go in there. So yeah, you still have that. You can still meet outside the instance. So it's not even an instance actually. Just meet outside the dungeon. 50 you guys can go into a public dungeon and start,
Sure.
cleaning shop.
Sure, you're still going to have the PvE guild where you guys are going to get together on Tuesday and get invent and work your way through a boss or something like that.
Yep.
I was not much of a PvEer, but I'm actually more excited to hear that they're going about it in a different way, because I always hated the traditional have to fight my way through all this trash crap. It was mindless to me. Most of the trash was just not challenging at all in the raids that I came across.
It was just to get to the boss.
It was just to get to the boss, and the bosses had the interesting and cool mechanics. But anyway, that's that.
Yep, and that is the end of that article. So we will now go into the question of the week that will be asked by content designer Ed Stark.
Hi, I'm Ed Stark, a content designer for ZeniMax Online Studios. I'd like to ask you, other than questing, what sort of online activities would you enjoy in an Elder Scrolls Online game?
Alright, so what is your answer to this man's question? What are you most looking forward to besides the questing? Because I think a lot of people have a lot of different answers when it comes to this.
Everything?
Why was that laugh so weird?
You know me, I like to have my player pretty much visualized before the game even comes out. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things I enjoy doing, is progressing my character the way I want to do it. And so since this game has such an immense progression system, that's probably what I'm going to be most looking forward to. Just progressing my character. I mean, you got gear, a billion skill lines to work on.
Sure, and I would definitely fall along that line too, like especially just the skill lines. I'm looking forward to making that single character. I'm not going to go for all the alts. I'm going to make that single character that's like the jack of all trades. I'm going to go to that level 50 plus zone and that level 50 plus just to max out all my skill lines so that I can be useful and flexible in like just about every situation. And yeah, I look forward to doing that. Just for the sake of being different, though, I'll change my answer up, because I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most, and this might be kind of a cop-out because it's kind of like questing, but not really. I'm looking forward to just pure concentrated exploration also. And what do I mean by that? Well, we were talking about earlier how we they're gonna have quests, and then they're just gonna have like some miscellaneous like dynamic event, or not even dynamic events, but just random things that you'll stumble across. I'm looking forward to just exploring like every nook and cranny of every dungeon, and finding all these little things, and things that aren't quests. Like I've always loved, I think it was in Skyrim, one of the first bandit hideouts that I ever came across had this half buried skeleton in the dirt. And he was clutching a note in his hand, and you read the note, and it talks about how these bandits captured him and were forcing him to mine, and he was talking about how he swears there's going to be a cave-in soon or something. Like, that little shit like that is what, like, made me fall in love with the Elder Scrolls series to begin with, because it helps me forge a story for my character, outside of the quests and all that. Just pure creative imagination, and that's what RP is, at least the single-player type of RP.
You want to find that perfect hole in the wall that a developer put their heart and soul into, that someone may not even know, like weeks after the game has come out, and you find it. You're like, oh my god, why has no one talked about this yet? And then you get to talk about it.
Yes, exactly right. And I'm so glad you said that. And that's why, just to harken back to the last topic, because I forgot to mention this, how I hope that they have all that, because I'm scared that they won't. And my fear, I think, mostly comes out of the fact, how long has this game been in development?
5 years?
5 years, that's right.
A little more?
Been in development 5 years. Skyrim, which isn't the most cram-packed test game out there. The most cram-packed was Morrowind's, but we're just using the most recent example. Skyrim took, I think it was 4 years to make. 4? 5. Yeah. Skyrim, one province of Tamriel. Elder Scrolls Online, multiple provinces of Tamriel. It's like, how does that even translate? I can almost like guarantee in my mind that I won't get the amount of like little shit that I want because of that fact, because of just the time and development. And yeah, it's a very real fear that I have. Oh, I'm petrified.
I think they'll surprise you.
And I hope they will, and I hope they prove me
I think they
wrong.
are slaving over this game, and have been since they finally got that working model of their custom-built game engine, and have finally started and been able to work like on the actual meat and potatoes of the game, the content. And
yeah, we'll definitely see what kind of developer ZeniMax Online Studios is when their game releases, and we'll see if they really did all this, because and I'm not the only one. We took a poll recently that asked what you're most looking forward to doing in the Elder Scrolls, and there it was PvE, PvP, all that stuff, and exploration was on top, and not by a little, but by a lot. So it's definitely a shared sentiment amongst the test fans and the people looking forward to the Elder Scrolls Online. So, but yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to answer Edard Stark's question. I am looking forward to the pure concentrated exploration of your game. It's going to be a lot of fun, I hope.
Boo Lannisters, boo.
Except for Tyrion, man.
Yeah, Tyrion's awesome.
Team Tyrion all the way.
Alright, so now we're going to move on over into our community segment. So we are now going to answer some fan Q&As. First one is from Douglas Flaherty? I'm telling you just gotta say it fast, man. Yeah.
They won't catch it if you say it fast, so even if you screw up, it doesn't matter.
Hey, I was wondering if you guys know if the schools of magic, as in alteration, conjuration, etc., will be included as separate skill lines. Don't know about you, but it's important for me that these schools remain separate for customization reasons. Sorry to tell you, but most likely not. We've already seen examples of, like, destruction is already split up between weapons themselves, has a lot of different schools, or a lot of different spells from the destruction magic school, and then also sorcerer, the class, has a skill line dedicated to destruction type spells. So we already see there an example of them being split up, and there's going to be other ones like that. Like also the sorcerer also has the conjuration sort of skill line, but then there's also necromancy, which I believe you get through the Mages Guild. Not specifically, not 100% sure on that, but I've seen that correlation.
Which I like, because think about it. Like, a sorcerer doing conjuration is going to be different than, like... Because I'm sure the sorcerer is going to have, like, conjuration-type abilities. I think we've seen him, like, summoning an Akranak.
Yeah.
Will be different from the mages skill line, which is necromancy, which is rising dead things, undead things. And what I think we're going to see is I think we're going to see them more well drawn out too. Because, you know, when you get just a single skill line like a conjuration, you got all the acronax and all the undead thrown in there. You know, we didn't have a separate necromancy skill line. So you're going to still see all those spells. They're just going to get ready to see them in different and new skill lines. And I don't mind a fresh take like that. As long as all the old classic nostalgic things are all in there, then name the skill line what you will. I don't really give a shit what you call the skill line, as long as, you know, those schools of magic will still exist in the lore, and they always will, you know. You'll just see them in different skill lines.
Yep. So, yeah, the short answer is no. You're not going to have specific schools of magic in a skill line, so they're going to be split up.
Yeah, the schools exist, though. They're always in the lore and the mythos. They exist. You just won't see under the skill line. This is the conjuration skill line, period. Yeah.
Next one from Nick Greco. Do you think they'll bring back athletics and acrobatics? Because this could make all the difference to a person with heavy armor chasing a person in light armor. So again, I don't think they're going to be like retaining some of these things we've seen in past test games like Oblivion and Morrowind. I think these specific things, athletics and acrobatics, are going to be seen within the stamina passives. It's like you may see a speed boost or well, not carry weight because they won't have that, but attack speed or something like that. You may see bonuses like that even in armor themselves. If you start putting medium armor on, because they have their own passives, armor themselves have their own passives you can level up.
Yes.
You'll also see athletic and acrobatic type things in that as well. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are things we're going to see. They're just going to be in different forms. And actually, I prefer them in different forms. For example, I'm playing Oblivion again right now, and athletics and acrobatics in that game, it's a joke. It's a big joke.
It's just running speed.
You can run, you can literally, people do this. They'll put the game on like their Xbox 360, run in a corner, just hold the button down and watch television. And you'll level, next time you check back in, your athletics will be maxed out because you were just running in place and stuff. Like, those, as much as those elements are, you know, enjoyed by test fans for the nostalgic reasons, they haven't always been executed in the best way. Now, whether or not Elder Scrolls Online will execute it in the correct way, well, that's yet to be seen.
Yep. Next one from Zachary Chick. What do you think they'll do about friendly fire / attack? Friendly fire. When I played Oblivion during a quest with an NPC, I do a power swing and kill the NPC by accident. Yeah, I think we've all done that.
Incredibly irritating.
That always made me so mad. I don't know if it will be different in Tesso because it's online or not. So we already know. They have said specifically that you cannot kill friendly NPCs, so you're not going to have to worry about that. And obviously you're not going to have to worry about killing a friendly player because they can go right into your fire nova or something and activate a synergy attack. So we know there's going to be no friendly fire.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Which you're going to, trust me, if any of you are kind of reserved about that, don't be, because the amount of trolling that can ensue when you have friendly fire enabled is god-awful.
Yeah. I hate having to switch from my fireball to fire bolt. Because I know I might accidentally kill a friendly NPC.
Exactly.
I'm like,
I will say, however, that I do want to be able to kill friendly NPCs, and we're going to hopefully see that crime system. It has been rumored to be added later on after the game has launched with the Dark Brotherhood.
Ooh.
Which, oh my god, I hope to see that very, very soon after launch because, oh man.
Yeah, I think if they do that, though, if they do that, it'll be very specific NPCs they'll allow you to kill. You can't just like kill any friendly NPC on the street.
Oh, that's such a part of test for me, is being able to kill innocent people while they sleep in their beds.
Alright, so we had some more questions, but we're kind of running out of time, so we're going to save those for next week.
Yeah.
So don't worry, we haven't forgot you guys. Alright, so let's get into our very friendly, very giving, very awesome sponsors for the week. First one is Simon Hansen, who likes to be known as Mitsurugi. Hope I said that right.
Mitsurugi.
Yeah. Alright, and then another donation from Cathanis Frostblade. Thank you, sir. You said I am a guy, by the way. Since I guess we weren't sure.
Oh.
Another one from Anders Sivasend.
Thank you.
Yep. Another one from Miguel Nogueira. I'm sorry, Thorin. I believe he's from Guildumbra.
Oh, fellow Guild Umbra.
I think we've even answered one of his questions before in the past.
Speaking of guilds, guys, we haven't mentioned this in a long time, so I might as well say it here. The Shoddycast will have a guild, and those invitations will be sent out through the social media connectivity, thanks to the Elder Scrolls Online and integrating that. So like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter, because that will be the way we are sending out the invites for the Shoddycast Guild.
Yep. And then finally, a very nice donation, once again, from Sterling Jennings.
Legendary Dragonborn.
Yes, another big donation for him. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you to our sponsors. If you want to sponsor us in a different way, well, first of all, hey, you could like our video. That goes a long way to helping us out. Share the video, that helps too. Also, we're looking for more gameplay footage. So if any of you guys out there own a YouTube channel that has gameplay of either Skyrim, Morrowind, or Oblivion, no Arena or Daggerfall, stuff like that. That stuff is as nostalgic as it was back then. They look like eyesores now. So yeah, let's keep it to the holy trinity of test games here. And it doesn't matter if you have commentary on the video or not. Either way, we can work with it. So if you would like to donate your gameplay footage to the Shoddycast, feel free to send us a message. I think sending us a message on YouTube is the best way to go about doing that.
Yeah.
Giving us permission to use your content, and of course, credit will go where credit is due. You will get a link in the video description and an annotation when we remember to do that. So yeah, it would be much appreciated. So we really want to mix it up too. So we would definitely appreciate some Morrowind and Oblivion thrown in there as often as we can. Oh yes. The background footage you have been seeing today has been brought to you by the Dark Brotherhood. And if any of you guys are interested in the Dark Brotherhood, which I have to say, this is going to be like one of my favorite Elder Scrolls lore series videos we do, because I love the Dark Brotherhood.
Even more than the Daedric one?
Oh man, it's pretty close. Like I said, one of my favorites, because yeah, we're going to be talking about the Dark Brotherhood, and we're going in deep too. Sithis, all that good stuff. So please tune in tomorrow if you want to learn about the mysterious Assassin's Cult. And yeah, guys, this has been the Shoddycast. I have been Josh.
And I'm Kyle.
We'll catch you later.
Boy.